Hello, welcome to an e-demo on the installation of Victor Web at version 4.9.1. Okay, so what we're going to do then before we move into the Victor Web installation is we're going to enable and install a couple of prerequisites. So the first thing I'm going to do is enable IIS or Internet Information Services on my Windows installation. Victor Web requires IIS 8 or later, and that is only supported in Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Server 2012 and Server 2012 R2. So let's go ahead and do that then. What I'm going to do is just select my start menu. I'm going to type in the word features, and you'll see down at the bottom there I have a turn Windows features on or off option. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And in this dialog box, I'm going to place a check in the Internet Information Services box there, and you'll see it just highlights the box, and I'm going to choose OK, and it's going to go ahead then and enable that feature on my installation. And once I've done that, I can close that window. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is to install something called Application Request Routing, or ARR 3.0. There are a couple of ways you can do this. There is an online installer and an offline installer. I'm going to be using the offline installer today, and you can get the links for both of those installers in the documentation for Victor Web. So I'm just going to launch the installer, and it's going to run through very quickly the install process. I'm just going to choose yes, agree to the license, and I'll go ahead and install that feature on this machine. Once it's done, I'm just going to choose OK, and then I'm going to close the window as well. Okay, so with both of those prerequisites done, we are now good to install Victor Web. This is a clean installation of Victor Web. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install Victor Application Server, Victor Unified Client, and Victor Web and Victor Web Service. I'm also going to install some Secure clients because it's going to be a unified system. Okay, so I've gone to AmericanDynamics.net and I've downloaded the Unified Installation Package, and I'm going to go ahead and double click Setup just to launch it. You may be prompted at this point to install .NET. If you need to do that, go ahead and do it. It will install it from the installer. You'll then be prompted to restart the machine, and once you've done that, you can go ahead and launch Setup again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the Advanced option, so that's this button in the bottom right. And now I have a screen which just allows me to select the components that I want to install. So I'm going to choose Victor Application Server. I'm also going to choose Victor Web Service, Victor Web, and over on the client side here, I'm going to choose Victor Unified. I'm also going to add the Secure integration, and I'm going to choose Secure 9000 as well. Okay, so I'm going to choose Next. Have a couple of options here. I can set the installation location. I'm also going to choose to install SQL Server Express. If I don't do that, I'm going to be prompted to point to an existing SQL installation. I'm just going to choose Next. I'm going to get a confirmation screen, and then a license screen, and then it's going to go ahead, install the prerequisites including SQL. It's going to install Application Server. It's going to install all of my clients and also Victor Web and Victor Web Service. As you can see, that's going through all of those selected components there. Once it's done, it's going to confirm that the installation was completed, and I'm going to be prompted for a reboot of my system at that point. And there we go. So I'm just going to choose Reboot, and then once the system comes back online again, what I'm going to do is apply my licenses. So I'm going to double click on the licensing icon on the desktop. I'm going to add new license, and I'm going to first of all apply my Victor license, and you're going to need to have Victor Web and Victor Web Service enabled in that license. Once the license is applied, the services are going to restart. Here we have the prompt for that. I'm just going to choose yes. Once they restart, you will see in the license types section at the top here I have Victor Web listed. I've also got a Victor Web tab. If I select it, you can see all of the license features for Victor Web there, and also the number of connections. If I move over to my Victor tab, you'll see I have Victor Web Service licensed as well. Okay, so because this is a unified system, I'm going to go back over to the Unified tab. I'm just going to apply my Secure license as well. I'm going to get the prompt that that license information is correct. And then again, I'm going to get prompted to restart my services. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once that completes, then we're ready to use the system. Okay, so let's close the License Manager, and I'm going to open up a web browser. I'm going to navigate to the IP address of my Victor application server /Victor Web. First of all, going to log in with the username administrator and the password administrator. And what we're going to do here is we're going to link our Victor Web installation to our Victor application server so that our Victor application server users can sign on to Victor Web. We can do things like monitor our events and also our personnel, swipe and show, and all of the other Victor Web features. So to do that, I'm going to go up to the setup menu. I'm going to choose devices. I'm going to choose the plus to add a new device. The device type is going to be a Victor application server. Then I can go ahead and enter its host name or its IP address here. I'm going to give it a name. I can also give it a description there if I wanted to do that. And then I need to choose a username and a password to connect to this Victor application server with. And this should be an admin user on the Victor application server. So I'm going to use a user which I already have configured and a password. And then I'm going to choose save. That's going to go ahead and connect my Victor Web installation to my Victor application server, and then we'll be ready to use Victor Web.